Coming up today, we're talking to Agiga about their EchoVision glasses, and our app of the week is WikiTrip.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Shaun Preece, ba-da-ba-bow. Shaun Preece,
Stephen Scott,
ba-da-ba-bow.
Oh, WikiTrip. Can you just say that one more time for me?
WikiTrip. It's like I feel like a DJ. Wiki
Wild Trip. Okay.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. I haven't heard that one yet.
One of our listeners, Signtora, sent it in quite a while ago, actually. We're replaying it today on the show because, we do so many episodes here, and I think a lot of the stuff we do gets buried, or buried, or however you pronounce that. I'm never quite sure how to pronounce that word properly.
Buried.
Well, I'm using that word a lot these days. Anyway, yes. So, look, come on, keep it up, keep it happy. It's Friday. It's Friday.
It's nearly the weekend.
We've
Hello, Double
survived
Tappers.
another week. Double Tappers.
Glorious.
That's all you can hope for today. Yes, we've got lots to get through today, tons of emails, and also we're going to be talking to Agiga. Well, you've been talking to Agiga about their EchoVision glasses. This is a pair of smart glasses that we don't talk about a lot. We haven't had hands-on with, but I know we were keen, you were especially keen to find out more about them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a listener who brought them to our attention. Greg, I believe, from Phoenix, our self-driving consultant.
Two listeners, actually. Kevin Chow.
And
as
Kevin,
well.
Yes, that's right. He managed to get hands-on at an event, didn't he? That's right.
Yeah, he was at a Vista Centre event, which we talked with us about last year. You can search for all this online. You can find these great interviews. No, well, seriously, I mean, Kevin Chow had he went off to that Vista Centre event.
He did.
That's where he learned about the Pocket Dot device as well, if you remember. The Pocket Dot, which is that, it's coming soon apparently, but it's like a MagSafe Braille display with keyboard input as well. Unbelievable.
Sounds so cool. Yeah, there was a lot of interesting things there. But yeah, the EchoVisions I was particularly interested in because, well, they're just smart glasses. And of course, with the potential of AI. And they come from the same people, from people who worked at Amazon. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what becomes of these.
That's an interesting choice of words there, Shaun Preece. I feel they fell out of your mouth before you had a chance to think about them. Just smart glasses? Is that what you just said? Just
smart glasses. Well, what do you want?
What does that mean?
They're not virtual reality. They don't have a display. They're just smart glasses.
Don't get it.
Sorry.
Okay, but right, we'll talk about that. We're going to be hearing that interview later with Agiga. So looking forward to hearing from the CEO and CTO of the company a little bit later. And yes, as I mentioned, our app of the week this week is WikiTrip. I also want to give a shout out to Brian Counter as well, who has created, by accident, I don't know, by default, I don't know, but he has created the app of the week jingle. So that's it. A jingle has been made. So, if you like the jingle, you will love hearing it. If you think you can do better, give it a go. But so far, Brian's the winner of app of the week jingle. So there you go.
Well, winner, chicken dinner, I've got to say, I absolutely hate it because I keep singing it.
Exactly.
All the time.
It's an earworm, I believe is the phrase.
It is. It's, yes, very good. Well done. Thank you, Brian.
Speaking of earworms.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Every day.
Ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Boosh.
That's better.
Thank
that
you.
Douche
See?
nonsense you
I
did the other day.
remember. Okay, I can be trained.
You're a douche. Right, let's go to Brian Clark.
That was harsh.
Let's go to Brian Clark first up, who has some feedback for us. Quite a lengthy email, but I know he's been keen to sort of bring together all of his thoughts. So let's hear from Brian today.
Hello, Stephen, Shaun, Laura, and Double Tappers everywhere. I wanted to finally sit down and write some thoughts concerning neural networks and artificial vision. I've had the pleasure lately of getting to know Brian Boussard a little bit these last few months. Brian, who lives fairly close to me here in the middle of the United States, has a network of implants in his brain that transmit electrical signal to his brain, which has started to comprehend and understand this new language. Specifically, he can see white pinpoints of light as the implants deliver input into his brain through the 400 tiny wires extending from the 25 implants that form the neural network. Mind you, these are the beginnings of artificial vision, and in reality is nothing like true vision at all. In fact, Brian describes it as seeing blips on a radar screen. That being said, the technology is growing by leaps and bounds, just like any AI-related technology these days, and someday resolution will be enough to make out detail. Already, his research team has been able to use thermal cameras to allow Brian to see the non-visible range of light and are working on utilizing AI to help with targeting and identification. As a formerly sighted user, I miss the great volumes of information and data provided through vision. Yes, there are things I miss looking at: family, friends, buckets of Kentucky Fried Chicken, but most of what I took in visually in the average day was utterly forgettable and barely memorable. Granted, there were specific examples of things that I loved looking at, but to be honest, there is so much of the world that is absorbed and then immediately filed into our brain's waste bin and forgotten immediately. I believe one reason why we celebrate physical beauty is because there is so little of it. Much of the world is drab and boring compared to the things that people really do love watching. I have had students who readily admit being awkward and nervous around the sighted once they had lost their vision. Granted, there are facial expressions and body language that are important parts of communication, but much of our visual interpretation of a person is based on some level of deceit, whether it is makeup, jewelry, clothing, or uniforms people wear. Frankly, I feel that I still know the people close to me as well as I ever did when I could see, as I now utilize my other senses just fine to get a sense of a person and how to interact with them. I believe what I miss most about vision is the incredible amount of information that is relayed via the visible light range, and if I had a tool that could replace that ability, I would be all for it. I use a long white cane and my trusty iPhone to help give me information when I leave the house. Why wouldn't I want another tool that could also help me navigate the world? That, to me, is the basis for artificial vision. I don't need it to see my wife or look at my house, but I would like to know when there is a chair right in front of me without always having to use my cane. I also think that artificial vision is a tool that needs lots of practice and patience to utilize. The amount of hours that Brian alone has spent volunteering his time to this project is staggering. This has come at great personal sacrifice to himself and family, so it is disheartening to hear that some hardliners have chosen to soundly rebuke any talk of artificial vision, as it means that the blind are not fully capable. I'll bet those same folks have lots of other tools that help them navigate and manage the world non-visually. I have had the honour and privilege lately to begin working with the deaf-blind community. I believe some of their community also face challenges when they choose to accept cochlear implants. I recently asked a new friend what the transition was like when she got her first CI, and she said it took a long time for the brain to begin to interpret these new signals provided by the CIs. She indicated that it took about a year to finally begin to use the CI to its fullest potential. I believe getting artificial vision will be akin to getting a CI, as both systems are introducing new signals to the brain, and the brain needs time to make associations. It takes human children with brains full of neuroplasticity about 7 years to begin to fully identify human faces. I don't think most people will be able to fully identify faces with artificial vision, as they will already have fully formed visual cortexes, or never had one in the first place, so there is no advantage to prior association from having had vision. That being said, I still think it will be an amazing tool someday in the distant future, but like any tool, the white cane, braille display, or screen reader, it will take lots of work and practice to utilize it effectively. Brian Clark.
Brian, an incredible message to kick us off today, and I think it just lends itself so well into this conversation about Neuralink and what people think about it. I also agree with you wholeheartedly, and I've been talking about it for a while on the show. There is a sense sometimes, and whether it's intentional or not, there's often a sense of certain people in the blind community when they talk about blindness as it being almost superior to sight, and that as a result, sighted people are at a disadvantage, or we as blind people are better off, or have extra tools available to us that make it more, that we're actually more capable. I hear sometimes this sense of, the idea of wanting to regain vision is a negative for people, like negative to the other blind community, people in the blind community. I know that's the same in the deaf community, people who are, and it's not a community I'm particularly plugged into, but there have been a lot of TV shows about it, a lot of documentaries about it, where, people in the deaf community shun other people who decide to go down the route of getting a cochlear implant. And I fear that may happen with something like Neuralink. Now, of course, the initial thing is to say Neuralink equals Elon Musk, and therefore disaster, disaster, doom, disaster. But I think if you can, even if you just look at Neuralink on its own, forget about Elon Musk, I think there are still people in our community who will shun others for daring to decide to go down this road. And to me, that's anti-sighted. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's a good approach.
Anti-sighted? Ah, okay. That's a term.
I mean, I hear a lot of it in the way that people talk about, for example, organizations around the world that have changed their name to vision
I'm with you.
or sight. They put that into the name of their blindness or low vision focused organization. And they say, well, no, we should have the word blind in there. Now, look, I can see both sides of this argument. I actually can see both sides quite clearly on this one.
You can see it, can you?
It's the only thing I can see clearly. But I can, because I can understand from the point of view of an organization, they are trying to include as many people as possible and not exclude people. And I think the one thing these blindness advocates fail to understand, and again, it's about experience and knowledge in this area, and having that breadth of experience across low vision, full vision, low vision, and no vision. And those of us who've had low vision for some of our lives, or most of our lives, and have lost all or most of our vision later in life, have got a wider experience in that. And what that means is we kind of understand that if an organization is called a blind organization, we as low vision people are less likely to want to go anywhere near it because we're not blind. We may push back against the idea of blindness. We don't want to consider ourselves blind. You and I have said many times there were points in our lives where we didn't want it. We weren't one of those people. We weren't blind.
Yeah. Pushing against it, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I know that. Now, I can see on the other side, the advocates say, well, blindness is nothing to be ashamed of, right? Now, okay, I know some go quite far with the whole blind pride, and that's fine. That's up to the individual. But for me, I can understand their view on the not being ashamed. That is something we need to work on, absolutely. But we can't be proud of it and then push back against sighted people. And this is the thing that bothers me. So I think there's a little bit of that in what you're saying there, Brian, that sense of being pushed back on. And I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right. And I hear a lot of it from leading organizations. I'm hearing it more and more. And I feel, we're in a world of division. Don't join the division. Don't do it. The problem with inclusion sometimes is that it comes at the cost of exclusion.
Yes.
You actually end up excluding people as a result of trying to be inclusive. That's where you've got to be careful.
I think for the vast majority of people, they see absolutely nothing wrong with wanting or a desire to restore vision. I think those voices may be amplified just due to social media, it must be, or whatever it may be. But I think they are the minority in our community and in the deaf or hard of hearing community.
But that's
as well,
the same in every community, isn't it? There are the loudest voices.
Yeah, maybe
are the ones we hear, right? And I have to say it's difficult because there are less of us out there. There are more of us. There's also many people, and I know this as well, that just don't want to touch this stuff. It's like the political situation in America,
of course.
Right? I've been talking to various people about what's going on over there, and in terms of accessibility, particularly in terms of accessibility, in terms of what's happening. Everyone's terrified to speak. Everyone's terrified to speak up because they don't want to be challenged or cancelled by the new administration or whatever. Whatever Elon Musk. How this guy manages to fit what he does into a day is beyond my understanding. But but the point is that there is a real. I think there's an anti-sighted sentiment growing out there, and I just think you got to be careful what you're lining up to with that. Think about that. We live in a world of sighted people. We are not the majority out there. We are a tiny minority. Those of us who are completely blind, I am not completely blind, but those who are completely blind are a tiny minority of that tiny minority. The world cannot bend to everything we want. We have to learn to live in this world. Yes, we want accessibility. Yes, we want inclusion. But you cannot push other people down so that you can get on top.
What? get what?
Drag other
On top?
people's down. Well, drag other people down to get yourself higher up the chain of. To me, that's not. If you're pushing for equality, you want the same treatment as everyone else, right? That's my basic understanding of equality. Right, you want the same treatment.
I would
whatever
go with
is.
that. Yes.
Yeah, but I think there's people who don't. I think there's people who want special treatment. They want equality, but special treatment with it. You can't have both. Sorry,
I
you
think
either
there's
have
more
equality
to it than that.
or you don't. What do you want?
I think there's a lot of there's so much psychology when it comes to dealing with disabilities, acceptance, and things like that. I think sometimes we can try to overcompensate for fear of feeling inadequate or some of the things we can't do. I think there's a fear of the comfort zone that is our community. This thing that we spent so long trying to get used to if you've lost vision or you were born into, if you were born with born blind. There's almost a safety in the non-changing. This is my community. This is my world. This is what I'm used to. And I think sometimes people can kick out because of, as I said, maybe being frightened of change. There could be that as well. But I honestly don't think this is a massive issue. I think the vast majority, as I said, the vast majority of people see absolutely nothing wrong with saying, you know what, if I could get my sight back, I would do that. I think so.
I agree with you. There's nothing wrong with saying it. Absolutely not, because that's your opinion. That's what you're welcome to think and believe. And I happen to go with that. Look, if someone came along to me tomorrow and said, we can regrow your optic nerve so that all the bits connect to where they need to connect to, take me in. I'm pulling up my shirt sleeve right now. Get the anesthetic in there, put me under. Let's do it.
It's true.
Because of course, why wouldn't I want that? Now, if you don't want that, that's fine too. But again, we just got to be careful around this, because I think there's sometimes that sense of, well, you're not officially. It comes back to this thing. Always comes back to the same thing for me, which is the low vision versus blind thing. Are you a partial, as I used to get at school, as I used to get from friends later in life? It put me off, if I'm honest, truly honest about this, it put me off the blind community. It put me off the blind community entirely, because I used to think to myself, all these people do is just want to constantly berate you because they want you to admit the fact you can see something and they can't. And so it's okay, and at the same time, telling me how wonderful it is to be blind. And I'm like, well, it's so wonderful to be blind. Why are you telling me that, or why are you, criticizing me for having some vision, which, by the way, I have no control over? I can't do anything about it. It's not my fault I have some vision left. I'm sorry if that bothers you, but it's not my problem. And look, I've been called out on this on social media, people saying, you're not really blind. What? How dare you? How dare you? You have no right to say that to anybody. Not to me, not to anybody. I'll decide, at least in the end, of where I'm at in terms of what I'll identify as. That's up to me, right? That's up to me. But actually, clinically, medically, yes, I'm blind. Get over it. If you don't like it, maybe you need to look inwards. Maybe you need to look at yourself, your own self-confidence, your own self-worth, your own self-esteem. That is where the issues often lie. Yeah. That's what we need to work on. Pushing other people down isn't going to solve this issue.
And on that note as well, when I say, Pete, I think that lots of us sort of try to overcompensate and it's a way of dealing with our insecurities, as you say, how sometimes we feel inadequate and sometimes we push back about, oh, you can do something because your vision is different to mine. At the same time, that's perfectly natural as well and understandable. And I'm sure at some point, I would have done that as well. It's all part of the process. I just think we need to be a little bit more open with each other, that sometimes, everybody struggles at some point.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can manifest in anger or saying something, that you shouldn't say, something nasty, but it's perfectly human.
Do you know, I always remember when I've told you this story before, but I went to get, training for a guide dog. I had a guide dog for about a year when I was 19. And I always remember going into there was at the time in the UK, there were centres you would go to. They don't have them anymore. But they used to have centres for guide dogs. Guide dogs would have these places you'd go and you'd get training. You'd be there for a couple of weeks. And it was great. I actually much preferred that to the way they do it now, which is through hotels. I think it's a much better.
I was just going to say, sorry, they don't do that anymore? I did not know that.
No, that's long gone, sadly. All you have now is they often take you to a hotel. They can also do it from home. But the whole point of going to the centre was you got away from it all for a couple of weeks. You literally switched off for a couple of weeks. And you got your training and you got the chance to focus with the dog and get the training and build that bond. And that was really vital to the success of the relationship. Now, you can do that in a hotel. It's similar, but obviously there's more distractions and mobile phones now. Didn't have that when I was doing this, right? Didn't have any of that stuff, really. So there was very little in terms of distraction. However, while I was there, on one of the mornings where we were sitting down and getting talked to about, what this, process was like and dealing with the public and all of that, the guide dog trainer said, now you have to remember that when you have a guide dog, you are an ambassador for blind people. So when you say something or you act a certain way or you behave a certain way, you are representing the blind community. Now, for many years, and even at that moment, I pushed back on that because I would say, well, is that true? The person who was delivering the talk was a lady. I said, would that be the same for you then? If you say something inappropriate, do I then treat every other woman based on your comments, I will assume that every woman feels the same way because you represent women. And she said, no, that's ridiculous. And I said, well, so it's what you're saying with respect. You always got to add with respect in at the end because that makes it okay.
Well done.
But that was that really annoyed me. It also got me kicked out of that class. But, the point is that because I just thought, well, hang on a minute. How dare you? How dare you stand there and tell me that I am representing an entire community? That's just absolute garbage. It doesn't make any sense. Of course it's nonsense. And exactly, it's nonsense for a woman or a black person or a man or a boy or a whatever, whoever you are. If you're gay, if you're a lesbian, it doesn't matter what you don't represent everyone else. You represent yourself. You are your individual. And I think, looking at that experience and thinking back about it, I think there must have been lots of blind people over the years who've been told this. You represent blind people. And that's why this kind of one true opinion thing starts to emerge. Now, it may be going away because, times have changed and, generations have moved on and the way we teach blind children now is much more in a mainstream setting. We don't have them going off to specialist education as much. There are still those elements, of course, but...
Well, you've got the choice now.
You get more choice, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there's something in this that perhaps over the years, there's been a little bit of institutionalization going on to blind people that has kind of built this, and it's no fault of theirs, but it's kind of been built in, this idea of, we have to talk as one. Because even today, I hear people say it, well, you got to be careful what you say because, someone will hear you and then they'll think that that's the view of the whole community. And I'm like, no.
Well, that's on the person that hears me. They should know better than that.
Do you know what it means? It means more of us need to be honest about ourselves, honest with each other, and talk more loudly and proudly about ourselves. You want to be proud of anything. Be proud of your voice. Be proud of what you have to say. Because that's the key, right? That's the key to breaking down the barriers. That's why I always say in the workplace, for the first couple of days, it's blindness. And then eventually people that melts away and they start to realize that you're just like them.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true, actually, in so many other settings as well, not just in employment. But as soon as they get to know you, that blindness does fade away into the background eventually, doesn't it?
It'll always bubble up. It always does.
Of course,
but you have to accept that. But that actually brings us on to our next message because I want to bring in a comment from Leander. I think we've got one from Ryan as well on this topic. Kind of how we kind of look at this from the other side, which is dealing with the public, the sighted public, if you like, and the challenges sometimes we face there. I must admit, my experience, and this might sound horrible to say, but my experience in the early years with the blindness community, I think actually gave me a lot of sympathy with the sighted community in how they talk to us because I'd already been badgered for years by blind people that it kind of, I was kind of more prepared to deal with sighted people. When they would say something, I'd kind of write it off a little bit more easily. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
So I was like, they don't understand. Let me help you with this. Rather than saying, oh, you're terrible. You should never be allowed to be.
It's a difficult time that you don't feel part of any community when you're low vision or partially sighted or however you want to phrase it at that point.
Here's Leander's comment.
Just coming back on another point, Stephen, what you were saying about people boycotting places because of using the word sight, etc. Absolutely ridiculous. I know locally of people who have boycotted centres because they were originally set up just for the blind exclusively, and because they've opened their doors, because they've got more funding now to other disabilities, people have boycotted them, and it's stupid because the connections they could make at these places are amazing. This centre I'm talking about, opened its doors. They got funding for learning disability day services. So a lot of the people who go have a learning disability and other things as well. But that's great because everybody helps each other. And I think there's too much of this only certain people mix and things like that, like you said about blind and partially sighted mixing. I think people, should get a grip really. And I totally agree with you about, people talking to the sighted, with a bit of respect as well. I've known, blind people say, oh, I don't answer questions about my blindness. It's nothing to do with them and all that. And I thought the amount of people I've met who were just genuinely interested in asking questions because they've never met somebody blind before, or they haven't had somebody that can ask. I had my kitchen done, and one of the decorators came from a deprived area, and he was telling me that, and he said, do you mind me asking you these questions? How did you manage at school, and how did you this, that? And if we don't answer the questions and are awkward, and I like to talk to people anyway, but it'll make people not communicate with the blind. So they've only got themselves to blame when they get that attitude back. I've been on the radio and done the questions you've always wanted to ask a blind person, and everybody said how brilliant it was and how they enjoyed it, and eye-opening in quotes, and I just think it's like you say, Stephen, all this about blind and partially sighted not mixing, and people with the attitude, it does definitely need to stop.
Yeah, I agree. And I think well done to you, Leander, for going on to radio and doing that, because that's the key, isn't it? It's the connection we've got to make. We've got to open ourselves up. Now, look, I know, and I will say this as well. There are many people out there who just can't do it, don't want to do it, are not at this stage. I was there in 2017, guys. I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. If you'd have stopped me in the street, I would have gone ape on you because I couldn't deal with it. Now, I didn't, thankfully. Managed to rein myself in, but I can understand how people do. And I get that. But, I do see a lot of people who, and I've got to say it, blindness advocates on social media in particular, there are a few out there who love to complain about everything you can think of, provide no solutions, and get angry when anyone tries to help them. And I'm like, I don't get it. How can you have both? You can't. You got to work together with people, don't you? I mean, if someone says to you, "Hey, I want help," and then they complain about it, and then say there was no one to help, well, are you doing this to yourself? I mean, what's going on here?
You're casting people as enemies for no reason, and it's like you say. This is this whole social model of disability thing, right? Help. It's this whole social model. And again, it's that thing of everyone else is to blame. Look, there are elements, of course, you're right, there are things, but it's the word blame. It's like, don't blame other people, right? Educate people. If it really matters to you, if you're going to spend so much energy screaming into a void about it, which is social media, why not try and do something about it? You've got the energy to moan and whinge about it. Go and do something about it. I'll tell you, right? So here's the situation. It's a very local issue for me, right? But our local charity around here is running a bus which takes us into the city. Because I live in a rural area, there's very little in terms of public transport. So this charity is a climate charity. They are trying to bring the bus in so they can reduce the number of cars travelling in and out of the city. A brilliant idea. In order to run the service effectively, they can't stop at every bus stop in my town. They just can't do it because it would take too long, and they only have so much in terms of resource. They only have 2 buses, all that stuff, right? And they're trying to run a good service. So I got in touch with them and I said, look, the problem I have is that where the bus stop is across on a busy road. I can't easily get to that bus stop. It's not an easy bus stop to get to. Yes.
And
Yes.
there's no shortcut to it. I have to cross that busy road. There's a bus stop further down, which is a much quieter road and would be easier if they would. And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't change the. They said no, that we can't do it because if we do it for you, then we'll have to do it for everyone else, and it'll just upset the whole timetable, and we have to go through a process and blah blah blah. So I thought, well, okay, I can sit and complain all day and night about it, or I can contact the council and say, do you know what? I want some way to cross the road. So can't you put something in, like some kind of crossing that, not traffic lights necessarily, but just one of those crossings where you walk up to and the cars know to stop. So, I'm in process with that. To me, I'm trying to solve the issue, right? Now, I'm not a hero about it. I'm just trying to solve the issue so I can get on this bus safely so I don't get killed trying to get to the bus. The day that climate killed Stephen,
You're not ranting and raving at the bus company because they are inflexible.
They're trying to do the best for what they're doing.
Well,
yes,
they?
I know,
Or they
and I know that. Look, I've heard
shushing away your concerns and the accessibility needs of a disabled person.
I have raised this, and I've said, look, there's also a thing called greenwashing, which is another big issue at the minute, where these climate issues come in and they kind of knock other issues off the table. So accessibility kind of falls off the side, right? Because
it's just about being reasonable. If they've got limited
have a
resources,
conversation with people, and look, the drivers have said to me, look, of course, if you stand at the bus stop, we'll stop for you. But it's just you're trying to find ways to live in this world, right? Why make it more complicated? I remember this is a totally off-topic point, but it just made me think about things. Jerry Seinfeld has a show called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, right? And he had Ellen DeGeneres on the show. I think she's been uncancelled, so she's okay.
I was going to say, can we mention her now? I don't know
care if we can or not. Who cares? She's a human being, for God's sake.
I love this episode. This is the Stephen Scott rant episode.
It's like these people say, you can't talk about her because she was nasty and she was this. Do you know, I don't know who the woman is. I've never met her. I don't know who Ellen DeGeneres is as a person. She could be the loveliest and the nastiest. I have no idea, right? I am not going to go off the opinion of, I don't know, people who just decided to end her career because maybe she wasn't that nice to them, right? Whatever. I don't know.
Bit of a voice there.
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Anyway,
sorry,
the point
I threw you off
she's
on
the show,
rant.
and she's talking to Jerry about the fact that her wife, Portia de Rossi, wants a horse. And Ellen says, look, she's got about 1 million horses. It's all these horses. She wants another horse. And Jerry's response to her is, what's it got to do with you? Are you going to look after the horse? Have you got anything to do with the horse? No, but she has all these horses. She said, why are you making your life more complicated, says Jerry. Why don't you just let her have the horse? Then it's her problem. And if she doesn't want the horse, she'll figure it out. And I thought, you know what? That's how I'm going to live. It's not my problem. Or if it is my problem, let's find the easiest solution. Let's find a solution instead of whinging and whining and moaning.
Wow. That is quite some connection there.
There you go. I can bring it all together.
You're basing your life on Ellen and her horses.
And Jerry Seinfeld, yes. I wonder if Porsche ever did get that horse. I always wonder. Mind you, they moved to the UK, so I guess they didn't bring the horses with them. So
you're welcome on, Ellen and Portia, anytime.
Anytime, yeah. Well, everyone's welcome here. Right, look, let's move on. I was going to hope to get to Ryan's message on this. Let's park that because I want to move on to your interview with Agiga. Now, you spoke to the teams, the CEO and CTO of Agiga, to talk about their EchoVision glasses. Let's listen to that.
Welcome to Double Tap.
Thank you for having us.
Well, we had to have you because we've been getting so many messages. People are excited by, well, as we know, smart glasses in general. But I've been hearing so many people saying, I want to hear about the Agiga EchoVisions. So we had to get you on. Is 2025 going to be the year that smart glasses actually fulfill the potential? Because as we know, we're so excited by smart glasses and the potential of the convenience, particularly with AI. Is 2025 going to be the year where smart glasses really come into their own?
Oh, that's a great question. Like last year, I think 2024, there are some product got really popular. And I know some blind people were using that to help with their daily life. And I do see the trend continues. And we do see the opportunity to leverage this technology to better help the community. So for us, it's an exciting year because we will officially launch EchoVision. And I do see people's lives would be changed by a product like this.
Wow, that's a bold statement. And let's talk about why you think they can be that impactful on our lives. So the EchoVision, the smart glasses that you're working on. So just tell us where we're at and what you expect them to be able to do.
Yes, so we started collecting feedback from our beta user group last year, around fall time 2024. And we got a lot of feedback and requests too for both the hardware, lenses, software, and what they ask for the shipping and all those additional add-ons too. So right now, we are very heavily focused on both the manufacture part of the hardware and also software. We are doing a lot of iterations to improve the lower layers of the stack that's running on the glasses, and also what the user-facing part that our user will be experiencing around, for example, scene description, OCR features, and also the remote assistance integrations with our partners.
Well, that's really important, is the partnerships that you actually have. I mean, when we think about smart glasses currently, I think the Meta Ray-Bans are incredibly popular. We also have things like the Envision glasses, obviously. But when Be My Eyes was made part of the Meta View app and part of the Meta Ray-Bans, of course, there's access to Ira through WhatsApp as well. They really did sort of lift into another level. So have you reached out to any of these companies, such as Be My Eyes or Ira?
Yeah, we reach out to both of them and beyond. Many of them are giving positive responses to us. We are working with a few of them right now, and we are actually hearing a lot more requests from our beta users and pre-orders regarding what they want to be integrated with the glasses. I'm not sure if I'm ready to disclose who we are working together with at the moment. But we do feel that a lot more can be added, and we are more than happy to discuss with whoever is ready to integrate with us.
Well, we'll come back to the software side and the features in a second. But let's concentrate on the glasses themselves. Let's concentrate on the hardware. Are these? What do they look like? Are these your regular sunglasses, or is there a slightly more tech look to them?
I'm gonna start trying to describe it, but Sharon, please feel free to add. We recently actually sent a newsletter with the latest industrial design photo in that newsletter. So the glasses right now is in one form factor for our initial launch. It's in black color. It looks as regular stylish glasses, but we have some shades at the side and at the top. It's not the wraparound shape, but it's some shades that helps prevent the light going in as an attachment. Also, we have some way to magnetically attach the lenses, for example, sunglasses lenses, to the regular glasses, so it can help with quickly transition to outside environment. With that, our hardware actually comes with a camera on one side of the glasses. We have our microphone and speaker, which are designed to help with the scene description and wireless headset use cases that we designed for the glasses.
Perfect. What about battery life? What can we expect with these?
Right. So this is, again, one more feedback we've been hearing that for some of our beta users, they like some of the smart glasses options out there in the world, but the battery life is not long enough for daily use. our targeted daily use for regular case is 4 to 6 hours. But we have, for example, the case for the glasses to work as the battery bank. And also the battery bank, which is the case, can be connected to the glasses during the use. So it can help make the life a little bit longer.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's one of the problems I find with the Meta Ray-Bans. The case as a charger is great and it lasts for ages and does many charges, but it's no good when your glasses are dead and you just want to use them right then. So
Yeah.
how does that work? Is there a USB connection in the glasses
Right.
themselves?
So we have a USB-C connection from the end of one arm of the glasses.
So could you just connect a general power bank to them as well and run them off that?
Yeah. Since I think we already provide the case, it can already work as the power bank, but please feel free to
Yeah.
use whatever power bank is out there.
Oh, yeah. As blind people, we're full of battery chargers and power banks anyway. So, yeah, that's really cool. And just going back to the lenses a minute. So, can these have prescription lenses in them?
Yeah, that's by design. We want to support different use cases in the blind and low vision community. We've been hearing different prescription levels from the low vision community side. There's some extreme cases. We are still working with our vendor to make sure that we can support those. But for the large majority of the prescription cases, we definitely can cover them. Some extreme cases, we have to hear what they are and then work with our vendor to understand if that's possible.
Fantastic. So, I'm expecting quite a few with the advances of AI services such as ChatGPT, and particularly the live video options that a lot of these are coming out with now. I'm expecting to see so many more smart glasses, sort of flood onto the market. What is it you think that you can offer over the competition?
Yeah, that's a very good and hard question. So at the moment, we see our differentiator from both sides, but on a very high level, as a short answer to start, I guess, is that we work with this community and try to optimize everything for this community. So what we say is that we build with and for the community. So some examples around the hardware would be the shades that I mentioned that we can attach to the glasses to help shade the lights. The battery life, for example, we heard feedback that we want to be using it longer for video remote help, for example. So we designed in the sense that it can be used with a power bank. From the software side, OCRs being top use case that this community needs, reliable word by word reading of some text is a high demand feature. It's not hard to do, but it's not necessarily done by everyone as the top use case. We just want to treat that as definitely the top use case and make it great. Scene description, you mentioned there's some advancement in the AI field that more live type of video description of the scene is coming up. That's something we are trying to experimenting and iterating too. There are some limitations at the moment, but hopefully later into the year, we can actually get some of that going. Yeah,
Perfect.
and another but not last example, I guess, is to really look at the ecosystem of the apps in this community, what are loved by people in this community, and we try to make our glasses integrable or integrated already with those apps. This is what you have been asking earlier too. So we are trying to make sure that those top apps, loved apps by the community is possible to be able to use the cameras on the glasses so that people don't need to learn new apps. They don't need to learn new user interface, and they just can come and use it.
Yeah, you're hitting all the sort of frustration I think people have had with every smart glasses so far. I think you're hitting all those pain points there. So this does require a smartphone, right? This runs off the power of the smartphone and a companion app. This isn't a standalone device.
Yeah. We don't have to have a phone if the glasses is set up already. It can rely on a Wi-Fi network in the environment. The phone and the companion app is mostly to set up the glasses so that it's ready to use. Some of the functionalities we do rely on the phone's computing power. So without the phone's computing power, the glasses may be at a limited functionality set. But it is usable without a phone.
Oh, that's very interesting. And what are you using for the power behind it? What AI service are you using? Are you just using one, or are you able to select?
Yeah, we have some of the models that we utilize in the backend. We try to make it agnostic to our users, but to be transparent, we use GPT, we use Gemini, we use the one that answers the question best for that specific context. So we have a little bit smartness there to switch between the models. We are looking at the possibility of allowing the users to actually select the model they like to have, but there's some trickiness and also downside with that. This is something we are still evaluating. That's from the backend. There's also some of the not so latest, but still smart enough models that we run on the glasses that can help with certain use cases.
Fantastic. And going over to you, Shirang, as the CEO of Agiga, what made you want to produce some smart glasses? How did you get into this?
Oh, thank you. And thank Hua-Sung for doing all the answers. I got COVID, so I'll let you do the heavy lifting work. Um, I started my career working at Amazon Lab 126, which is a so-called secret lab, the secret R&D center of Amazon doing all the smart devices. There are lots of cool products we have done there. Lots of them stay in the lab as they're not mature enough to be shipped as a product.
Like what?
But,
Give us an exclusive. What's the secret lab got in store?
Have you watched the movie Iron Man?
Yeah, yes. Okay.
What is it called? Like the holograph.
Oh
Like
yeah,
something showing in the air without a physical display, and you control it by hand.
there's you saying there's an Amazon hologram device out there?
Not like holograph. It's like display in the air without a physical thing.
Yes.
That was one of my project.
Wow. Okay, when can we see that?
That's
And is it accessible to the blind? Sorry, I derailed you. You carry on.
Yeah, it's still challenging. Even that's a project I worked on when I first joined Amazon as a new grad, like 15 years ago.
Wow.
With current technology, I still feel this is challenging. But another product which everyone use is Alexa. I was in the early team of Alexa. I'm very happy to see it got developed and loved by so many people.
Yes.
I like to help people. I think Alexa is a great product, but I see there more people can be helped if we leverage the technology better. So when I see the large language model or vision language model coming up, when I see the technology in the electronic world moving forward, I see, okay, we should do something more impactful. See who in the world needs more help with this technology. And we do see the blind and low vision people was not taking the full advantage of the latest technology. And that's why we're here to help.
Amazing. Now, that's interesting, actually. Do you see this as an assistive technology, or are you targeting mainstream as well?
So we do want to focus on the blind and low vision community, as we see there are plenty focus on the mainstream already. I don't think they need our help at all.
I agree. I'm happy about that. So, yeah, you mentioned the beta testing that's going on and pre-orders already. So what sort of price point are you looking at for the EchoVisions?
Our full price is $599. For pre-orders, we have a discount, which makes the final price $449. And if people pre-order, we're asking for a $99 deposit, and that secures the $449 final price.
Wow. And is there a monthly subscription along with that?
For pre-orders, we want to offer the lifetime free subscription discount. So there's no subscription for pre-orders. For future orders after the pre-order period, we are still evaluating what the subscription would be, but there would be some cost associated because we do have to pay some of the services and servers that we run.
Yeah, absolutely understand that. Okay, so when can I get my hands on these?
We'd invite you to come to our website for pre-order, and we'd be happy to actually share some of our devices once ready with DoubleTap, you, Shaun, and Stephen to help us test, evaluate, and promote the device.
Perfect. Oh, yes, absolutely. We'd love that, but I know our listeners would love to get their hands on them as well. So these will be released in 2025?
Yes, that's right. The pre-orders has been running there for a short while, and we expect to be sending these first shipment around Q2 end this year.
Okay, so for anyone who is interested, just give us that website address, please.
Sure. EchoVision.agiga.ai. So EchoVision.agiga.ai.
Okay, EchoVision.agiga.ai. Perfect. I'm going to go there. I'm so excited to see what happens with these. I think smart glasses are just so potentially life-changing. So, yeah, I can't wait. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you again, Shaun.
Thank you for having us.
Brilliant conversation. Can't wait to try them out. Now let's go to our app of the week.
App of the week. Hello, my name is Svein Tore and I'm from Lillehammer in Norway. Today I have an app demo for you. The app is called WikiTrip. This app is almost like having a tourist guide in your pocket. The app finds places near you and reads Wikipedia articles about them. It tells you about cities, churches, schools, train stations, power plants, and much more. This app works great with voiceover, and it's great when you are walking or traveling in a car or in a bus or in a train. And before I go, I will play you some audio clips of me traveling in a bus so you can hear what this app sounds like. Thank you so much for a fantastic show. You are awesome.
Ringabostave Church, 0,3 kilometers east. Ringabostave Church, Norwegian, Ringabostave Kirke, is a parish church of the Church of Norway in Ringebu municipality in Innlandet County, Norway. It is located in the village of Ringebu in the Gudbrandsdalen Valley. It is the church for the Ringebu parish, which is part of the Sør-Gudbrandsdal Prosti, deanery, in the Diocese of Hamar. The brown, wooden church was built in a stave church design around the year 1220 using plans drawn up by an unknown architect. The church seats about 300 people. Kvitfjell, 4,1 kilometers southwest. Kvitfjell, Norwegian, White Mountain, is a ski resort in Norway, located in the municipality of Ringebu. Developed for the 1994 Winter Olympics in Lillehammer, it is one of the most modern resorts in the world, with snowmaking on 80% of the alpine pistes. Based near the river Gudbrandsdalsslagen, the resort offers 23 pistes, 5 green, nursery, 9 blue, beginner, 6 red, intermediate, and 3 black, advanced. Kvitfjell is also home to a terrain park and 120 kilometers, 75 miles, of cross-country pistes, with access to 480 kilometers, 300 miles, extra in Skandala. Norwegian Olympic Museum. 1,1 kilometers east. Norwegian Olympic Museum, Norges Olympisk Museum, is located at Mayhaugen in Lillehammer, Norway. The Norwegian Olympic Museum shows the history of the Olympic Games in ancient and modern times, with a focus on the 1952 Winter Olympics in Oslo and 1994 Winter Olympics at Lillehammer. Olympic highlights are presented through interactive installations, multimedia presentations and stories related to authentic objects. In addition to the permanent exhibition, the museum also displays temporary exhibitions with a theme related to sports history and athletic achievements. Paralympics and the Youth Olympics have their own sections in the museum. The Norwegian Olympic Museum was officially opened by King Harald V and Queen Sonja on November 27, 1997, in Håkonshall.
App of the week.
How cool is that? App of the week this week, WikiTrip, getting a chance to learn about your environment. That's pretty cool, right? I like that.
Very nice, and very nice app of the week too. Thank you.
Thank you to Brian Counter for that. That is our jingle for App of the Week. If you think you can do better, feedback at doubletaponair.com. Hey, that's it for this week. We're back, of course, on Monday with cool stuff.
Yes, I can't remember either.
Yeah, I know. Loads of great stuff. So much going on. But we've got some great interviews for you coming up this week, of course. Next week, I should say, on the show. We're out of time today, but thank you, as always. Keep in touch over the weekend, and we'll catch you on Monday. Thank you, Shaun. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm off to stop ranting now.
Okay, calm down.
Breathe.
Relax.